You got 5 seconds to subscribe and like the video or face...
What do you have there?
Oh, nothing. You know, just a little deterrent for being a shitty YouTuber.
No, man. No, it's cool. It's cool. I'll change the intro. I swear.
Oh, don't worry. It won't hurt a bit.
So this certainly isn't the video that I thought I was going to be making this week. I kind of came into this topic in a kind of roundabout way. Initially, my uncle was looking for a cheap computer to use to play Minecraft with, and so I started parting out a pretty cheap Optiplex build for him, and then I was thinking about doing a follow-up video on that system, since I've been kind of kicking that idea around for a fair bit now. But whenever I go to do a video, I do a little bit of research beforehand to make sure that, you know, whatever system that I go to pair out or whatever topic that I want to cover isn't already being done better by somebody else, or there isn't another better idea out there that I'm basically subtracting from. I want to make sure that any information I provide is decent and useful to at least someone out there. So when I was looking into building this $250, $300 Optiplex gaming PC, I wanted to see what the computer building community was doing at the current moment, especially with the graphics card scalping prices situation we have going on currently, because making a $300 budget gaming computer is much harder than it was, say, 12 months ago. So I just did a little quick search on YouTube to see the most recent computer building guides, videos, or things of that nature, and I came across these lovely individuals. So before I actually get into covering the content that I found in these searches, I simply wanted to state that I am not trying to personally attack these people, and I'm not trying to start some firestorm that causes any sort of long-lasting drama. I simply was just filled with an immense amount of agitation when watching these videos, because it is very clear that a lot of the information in these videos are incorrect, and to the degree that there's no way they can claim that they just don't know. So there is at some point some level of disingenuous information in these videos, which I find so distasteful. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that I'm not trying to bring these people down. I'm simply trying to correct their videos that are horribly, horribly misguided. So we're going to start with the more small fry video that I found in this category. I think what I searched was $300 gaming PC and then just set it for whatever was posted this week. And the first 2 or 3 that popped up were pointed towards or orientated towards Fortnite gameplay. A lot of the thumbnails claiming 140 FPS in Fortnite and all that fun stuff that you might even see on your local Craigslist and Facebook ad listings that I've mentioned before. The first video that I saw, I'm reacting to them on my phone because I'm just a little bit janky, but the thumbnail clearly kind of suggests that the computer he's going to be talking about is a $200 gaming PC, which made me skeptical right off the bat. But also, the title is a little bit vague, which is nice because the other videos we're going to talk about are not vague in their claims. He simply just says insane FPS. So, you know, we're off to a pretty interesting start. He's not making any horrific claims, but there's obviously something going on that isn't correct, but there's no way that you can make a $200 Fortnite gaming PC right now, especially again with the graphics card market the way it is. So let's actually get into the video itself and see what he says. First off, he takes like a minute and a half to even get to the actual content of the video, which, you know, isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it's full of like this video, like my second channel, do this, do that, hit my Discord, all that fun stuff, which, you know, only moderately annoys me for the most part. But then we get to the actual topic of the video, which is supposed to be this seemingly $200 gaming PC that he advertised on the thumbnail that's going to run Fortnite at some insane FPS, as so he claims. But lo and behold, he reveals to us at about a minute and a half to 2 minutes in that it isn't even a computer, there's no build that he's going to be doing. He's not even really going to be showing any gameplay or footage or benchmarks from this computer that he's going to talk about. His Discord member, or a Discord member of his, I think, he doesn't make that 100% clear, made a PC part picker list for different budget computers.
What I've done, well, I haven't done this. Someone has actually went out their way and they've made a PC part list.
And you're like, okay, that isn't the worst thing ever. I mean, at least there's some information. There's a PC part list that you can have access to. But the kicker is that the budget starts at $600 US, when the thumbnail clearly tries to show that the computer he's going to be talking about is $200 US.
For example, let's say we want a PC that is in the price range of $650. Now, there isn't any $500 ones. I'm sure they'll be added soon. But right now, the cheapest one we can get in the US is $650.
So, right off the bat, there's already a little bit of horrific clickbait that this guy is trying to use to get people to click into the video, and then present them with information that's probably not even that reasonable to them or useful to them, because if you're clicking on a video for a $200 PC, you are certainly not in the market for a $600 PC. But without any of that, let's just wave all that away. Let's get into how he actually covers these computers. Well, it seems that he's not even that computer knowledgeable. He's certainly not a computer or tech-orientated channel. He's much more, I'm assuming, Fortnite and Minecraft and gaming, which is fine. And I don't think that it's a bad thing for gaming channels or channels that aren't tech-orientated to talk about tech, because tech kind of influences everybody, and gamers use PC hardware just as much as non-gamers do. But if you're going to talk about it and make a YouTube video about it and present this information to your followers, which seemingly is going to be a younger demographic for this man because it's Fortnite and Minecraft, which kind of automatically already attributes itself to a younger audience. So the fact that he's already misleading them and then bringing them information that they're not really even looking for is kind of problematic in my eyes. But then he really gives no information at all. He does provide this part list, which we've argued the validity of how useful that would be, considering the thumbnail and title of the YouTube video that he posted. But then he just kind of rambles on about them and says that they're great and doesn't really provide any proof or any numbers or any sort of validity to show that these computers can even run Fortnite at a decent level. I mean, looking at the parts and knowing general knowledge about how well they can perform, these computers should be able to run Fortnite fine, but he kind of gets away with just having vague claims and never attributing any sort of actual numbers to anything that he shows. So this is kind of the prepper, the appetizer, so to speak, to the later videos we're going to be covering, because this kind of shows the mentality that I think is disagreeable to me, providing basically no information, using the title and the topic as just clickbait, and then just kind of hand-waving away any responsibility by making very vague claims that no one can actively dispute you on. So we're going to give this guy a kind of sort of pass. He could potentially just be very ignorant of what he's talking about, and that's fine. But if you have an audience that you're talking to and giving advice to, you shouldn't be ignorant on the topic of the video you make. So there's your little appetizer to whet your palate. Now we're going to get into the big boy that I found that drove me absolutely mad. So let's get to him. So now we're going to get into the real meat and potatoes of this video. And I went back and forth a fair bit on how I want to cover this guy and this topic in general. And I hopefully have come to the best conclusion, but we'll see. The lovely man that we're talking about today, his channel is World of Archie or World of Archie. I don't quite know, and frankly, I don't really want to look into it. But there are multiple extremely problematic videos that I found on this guy's channel, and I didn't want to call him out or start a big thing about it, except for the fact that there's no real easy way for him to deny or explain away some of the things he says. And it basically comes across that he is outright lying to his viewership and, performance and computers and prices and things of that nature, and simply just using the format of this kind of video to monetize and, I guess, misinform his audience. So I didn't want to come off as aggressive or as an agitator, and I certainly don't want to start some sort of flame war back and forth, but I'll try and get away from the disclaimers and all that fun stuff, and we'll actually get into some of his content so you can see what I mean and kind of judge for yourself how problematic you think some of his claims are. So, the first video that we're going to be looking over is the cheapest 144 FPS budget gaming PC for $160. So, of course, I found this in my quick little search when I was looking to see what kind of budget builds were out in the community at this point, and I was like, wow, $160, that's incredibly cheap. and I couldn't think of any graphics card or integrated CPU GPU chip that could get to 144 FPS on Fortnite unless you're doing something wacky like running the game at like 3 resolution. So I was very curious and very interested in trying to figure out what system this guy was suggesting would run 144 FPS on Fortnite. So let's get into his video.
You got 5 seconds to subscribe and like the video, or face Jarvis will no-scope you while you sleep. What is up, boys?
So obviously, right off the bat, this isn't any sort of tech critique, but of course we get the kind of like quick editing, flashy lights, movement, rotation, zoom in and out, YouTube editing that I just love. But I'm not going to hold that against him. You know, if you want to attract a younger audience and you want to get those YouTube clicks, you know, there's many ways that have been proven to make that happen. So if that's what you're going for, then great. I don't really have a problem with it. It's just not really my taste. So let's keep going.
Coming up first, we've got the CPU, boys. There it is, an i3 Intel CPU.
Okay, so obviously this video is already multiple red flags for me. There isn't actually any sort of build being done. It, again, is just going to be some sort of PC part list, except for this scenario. He's basically just going through an Amazon link WordPad document, I'm assuming that he has. But there is not going to be a build. He's not going to show the build. He's not going to build it himself. He's not going to provide any sort of numbers or show any sort of, you know, benchmarks or performance numbers. You'll see this is basically the exact same critique that I have for every single video of his and the previous one that we covered. This isn't the end of the world. I mean, there is some usefulness in providing videos like this, but if you are going to do this and you're simply just going to provide a list of parts that someone could purchase, you should actually make sure that they're available for purchase for the price that you're listing. Now, make sure that you understand the reference of where this video is being posted or what time this video is being posted. This was posted 6 days ago, which is, we're very heavily into the GPU crisis, as some people are calling it, where graphics card prices are absolutely sky high. Availability for a lot of different tech and things of that nature are just non-existent. And so for him to basically put up out-of-stock components and then say you can build a computer out of it is just horrendous. And it's not like this is a week or two in where he just doesn't understand the market currently. This is like right in the middle of the crisis itself. And he's done exact videos like this in the past couple weeks, so he should be very well versed in what the market is looking like. So just keep that all in mind while we continue. Okay, so I'm going to skip over tons of him just rambling about random specs that don't really matter for some of the tech that he brings up. Like, he'll point out that it's an 1155 socket and that your motherboard should be an 1155 socket, which is well and true and, you know, decent information to give. But then he'll start covering, like, the core count and the gigahertz and like things of that nature and not really explain them or what they do. He just says, oh, as you can see, it has this many cores and it goes this fast and it's has this amount of cache, without ever explaining what that does. And I doubt he really even understands exactly what all those different numbers and situations mean. But with all of that kind of hand waved yet again, I'm trying to give this man as much of a benefit of the doubt as I possibly can. But I only have so much patience. Already, this is not a great deal. Buying a i3 2120, I think is what he listed, or I can't even see the part because his face is covering up the Amazon description, so great editing job, my man. Superb. But I think it was an i3 2120 if I remember correctly. Buying that CPU for $20 is absolutely not a good deal at this point. You can get much faster chips for $20 on different marketplaces such as eBay and the like. Amazon is one of the worst places to buy used tech at this point because a lot of the time the prices are hiked up to a ridiculous amount simply to keep the Amazon page up. So if you're going to be buying used tech, which this is used tech because there is no way you are finding a new 2120, an i3 2120, I think, with any sort of new availability at this point. This chip is incredibly old, so all the stock you're going to be buying is used or refurbished or something like that. So already you're buying used, so you may as well buy it on eBay because you can get, last time I checked, you can get an i5 3470 or a Xeon 1220 V2, chips that I'm very well versed in, for $20, and they will beat the pants off of the i3 2120. So he's already providing a pretty bad set of advice for any sort of viewership watching the video. Simply, I'm imagining because he doesn't understand the best ways to get his hand on tech. So, that's a little strike in my book, but we'll continue because maybe he's just a little misguided and doesn't understand the best way to get deals. And that's fine, but I don't think that is the case.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there's ads like every 30 seconds, I forgot. There are 7 more ads in this video.
Ratio, as you can see, only $50, and it will literally give us 144 FPS in Fortnite. Just a heads up, it does come into stock on the 27th of February, so that's a few weeks from now, so keep an eye out if you will be building this PC.
I had a feeling this card was going to show up. The GT 1030. Oh, how exciting. Oh, how glorious it must be to imagine that the GT 1030 is any sort of decent graphics card to buy for any system. Oh, the spice. How exciting. So I knew that the GT 1030 or the GT 710 was going to come in as a recommendation because not only is it one of the only cards you can get your hands on nowadays with the whole GPU shortage, but it's a go-to for people claiming to make cheap computers because then they don't have to worry about power supply stuff and all that fun stuff. When you can easily buy a used, well, not now, but you could previously buy a used graphics card that performs, you know, twice, 3 times, 4 times better than the GT 1030 for the exact same price of buying a GT 1030 new. So I have my problems recommending the GT 1030 in any scenario, but if you bring in the GPU shortage into this mix, it's less problematic to recommend it because of just availability in general. But one issue you might be seeing is I think we have a budget of, 160, and we're very, very quickly approaching 160, and we're just doing the CPU and the GPU so far. There's still ways that he could make this work, but I have my suspicions that we might not even hit the budget that is put in the title of the video. Only one way to find out. Let's keep going. By the way, GT 1030s right now are not $50. They're about $100 right now, so let's just keep that in mind too, because he's just not putting in the right prices for things. Thank you. Okay, let's keep going. This is ASMR. 2 wheels, 2 yet. 2 wheels, your stick. I messed it up. Our Lord and Savior World Archie did make the disclaimer that it's not in stock currently, without explaining the fact that it's probably never going to be in stock until this whole situation is corrected. So we'll just leave that there as well. There is no way you can get 140 FPS on Fortnite with the GT 1030. No way. Unless, of course, you're running it at some horrific resolution or you are crippling Fortnite in some major way. I know there's performance mode out for Fortnite at this point, but oh boy, does it get my knickers in a twist when someone makes horrendous claims such as that. There is no way you're getting 140 FPS on Fortnite with the GT 1030. There is so much evidence against this, and it's so easily researched as well that blows my mind that he just makes a blatant lie in a claim such as that. You're going to see me getting a little fired up at this point because this is the stuff that really aggravates me. Let me try and explain a little bit before we continue why it aggravates me. I'm not perfect. I try my very best to make sure that any information that I provide or any sort of advice that I give has some sort of proof or usefulness or backing of any sort. Like whenever I provide numbers for benchmarks or specs or parts that I'm using, you know, I try to make sure they're right, and I try to compare them to other people's numbers to make sure that everything matches up. And I'm probably not perfect on this, but I put a good amount of effort into making sure that they're at least close, if not accurate. I also make sure that any sort of advice that I give is generally good or works out, or I test multiple times before giving it to somebody else. So having somebody just so blatantly disregard this whole realm of double checking yourself just drives me nuts, because it seems there's no accountability for this, because all of the comments in the description are mostly positive, besides 1 or 2 that kind of call him out on his less than nice claims. What I think this is he's basically just relying on such a small amount of his viewership actually building these computers, which I imagine no one who viewed this video built this computer, and also on the fact that the vast majority of his viewership aren't computer tech savvy, so they probably don't even know that these claims are outrageous. So he's kind of just hedging his bets that no one's going to call him out on his shit. Well, your bets have been hedged incorrectly. Is that the right term? That's not even how you say it. I'm calling you out on your shit, World Archie. I don't care. We're gonna keep going because, God, I'm fired up.
Trident Vibes Gum. A long
Oh my God, there's so many ads in this video, dude.
And right off the bat, there we have the RAM Boys 4GB DDR3 stick. So it's only 17 bucks. Believe me when I say that 4GB is enough for Fortnite, especially for the slow and budget build. And boys, trust me, this PC will run Fortnite in 140 FPS.
This guy is making absolute killing. I just gotta say. I've gone through 3 ads just to watch this video.
Right off the bat, there we have the RAM Boys 4.
Oh, 4 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. Oh, I wish I could say I didn't see this one coming, but golly gee whiz, willikers.
4 gigabytes of RAM on any sort of system, modern system that you're planning on using for anything, is not recommended, to say the slightest, to say the least. My vocabulary is going out the window real quick, boys. So 4 gigabytes of RAM, I don't even think I have to say it, is not recommended for any sort of system that you're using in the modern day, especially if you're going to be using it for a gaming PC. You can get away with 4 gigabytes of RAM, but it is such a problem that you're going to be constantly fighting whenever using this computer that spending another $10, $15 to get 8 gigabytes of RAM will do you wonders. And also, the fact that he's using a single stick and not dual channel is a problem that could be solved by doing 2 sticks of 4 gigabytes of RAM. I'm not going to harp on this too much because it's such a simple problem that so many people have covered and talked about. 4 gigabytes of RAM, don't build a system off of it. I can't even see a situation where you would absolutely have to do this. Just spend a little bit more money and get 8 gigs of RAM, because that at this point is kind of the minimum recommendation that most tech people will tell you, and 16 is kind of now the default recommendation that most people will say is what you need. So obviously at this point 4 gigabytes of RAM is not recommended, but we'll hand wave it away because it's a budget build that's going to fit our $160 budget, right? Right?
You can actually find RAM for 8GB sticks, and it will cost you 20 bucks. So if you find that as a better deal for maybe like an extra 45 bucks, then definitely get that.
So he's already covering what I basically just mentioned, that you can find 8 gigs of RAM for $3 more. For $3 more. Why on earth would you not recommend that right off the bat? That's such an easy decision to make, and he's basically saying that, I mean, I guess he's including it in the video, but that's not what he's recommending in the first place. Okay, let's keep going.
And coming up next, we've got the motherboard, boys. So here you go, the motherboard, 45 bucks. There's nothing really special about it. It will fit the CPU, it will fit the RAM, the GPU, all that good stuff, and there's really nothing special about it.
Okay, the motherboard pick I loved. I saw the Dell motherboard coming. I knew it was coming. I knew that was going to be the route this was going. And I have personal experience with this motherboard. If you notice that 24-pin power, instead of it being over on the right where the RAM sticks are, is down below near the PCIe slots. If you're going to use a full slot or dual slot GPU, you cannot plug the power into this motherboard. So that's a problem. But he is using a GT 1030 that I think is a single slot graphics card, so he'll probably actually be able to get away with using this motherboard. But the issue is the price. $40 for this motherboard. No CPU, no RAM. You can easily find these things for like $15 to $20 on eBay from like very, very reputable sellers. So you're basically buying this horrible motherboard. Like, it's, don't get me wrong, horrible motherboard for twice the price, and you're recommending this to your audience who, if they're not tech savvy, won't be able to figure out how to use this computer because there isn't easy documentation for this motherboard. For a quick example, the power pins to turn on the computer that you plug in the power button to is not it's standard, but it's not the DIY standard. So you'd have to do a little bit of digging and research to figure that out. And then even with that, you get error codes whenever you turn the computer on, which scares a lot of first-time computer builders and would probably cause problems. So recommending this thing for a budget build without explaining the problems that come with this motherboard is a huge issue.
But if you do want to maybe see some pros and cons, well, you have 4 USB ports.
4 USB ports. I don't want to suggest anything about this man's intellect, because I'm sure he's a very, very smart individual. But he's staring at the product image as he's talking. It's very clear that he's, live reacting to this footage. He is staring at this image. Can you count more than 4 USB ports on this image that is staring him in the face right now? If you can, you're smarter than, what was this guy's name? Archie? Something Archie? Yeah, there's 6 USB ports on that computer, or on that motherboard at least. Yeah, that's a pretty easy one. I'm getting a little picky. I'm sorry. We'll keep going. So I just paused the video and I noticed that we're not even halfway through. So that's a problem because there are 5 more ads to get through this video and I don't want to do that. But I know I've watched this video all the way through, and then there's another video that I wanted to get to. I think I'm going to skip the 3rd one because this is going a lot slower than I thought it was going to. But I want to get to a specific point in this video so that you guys can see another major problem with a video like this.
There we have it. It's an Amazon's Choice case. As you can see, it comes in white, black and red, and also complete black.
Wow, look at that. An actually pretty decent case to recommend, the NZXT H510. I'm sure there are plenty of tech YouTubers who would recommend this case. It's really solid. But it's like, wait a second. That's a $70, $80 case, depending on where you get it and how you get it. How on earth are you going to fit that into your budget? Let's find out.
By the way, the price of the case is not included in the price and the title and just like the overall build because, come on, $60 for a case, it's a really not cheap price.
There you have it. The price of the case is not included in the price for the computer, or the price for the build, I guess I should say. How scummy is that? How horrendous is that? It's not even like he showed like a $20 case and said, here's a really cheap option, and then said, if you wanted to buy this, you could do that. That's a less scummy way of doing this. No, he simply just didn't even give you a complete computer build for the price he said he was going to give it to you. And then just threw it in the video that, oh yeah, this isn't included because, oh yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to fit in this budget, and it's impossible. So there you go. There's the first video. That's all the big parts in the video. I could poke a ton of fun at all the different things he says and all the different mistakes he makes, but it's going to get very, very redundant. What I wanted to make clear from this first video is that he does not shy away from making precise claims about something that are provably wrong, and that is a problem because there is no one proving him wrong or pointing it out that it is wrong. So that's the first video. The second video we're going to be covering, I think, is much worse because there are just outright lies throughout it. And there's no way that he could be like, oh, I just don't know, or I didn't know this, or I was not well versed in the topic because of a few things that he states. So, oh man, let's get to that video because I'm already thoroughly annoyed by this man. So as I was looking up the third video that I planned on covering, the video that I was going to skip, I saw the thumbnail for and it irritated me, so I just have to mention it. The title of the video is called Building My Sub His Dream PC for $300, runs Fortnite at 300 FPS plus. And of course it is full of lies and false claims and specs that will not do what he says they're going to do. And also, he uses the title of Building My Sub, this PC or whatever, but there is no computer build in the video. He doesn't build a computer, he doesn't have any of the parts. So I'm very confident that he never built this for anybody. He doesn't have some sub who wanted this computer. I think he just used that title because that's a pretty clickbaity, popular title in some tech channels where, oh, I built this computer and gave it away for $5, or I built this computer and I gave it to my friend's cousin that needed one. It's a very common video that tech channels make. So I think he was kind of riding the coattails of that kind of video and simply just did another Amazon list that I'm sure he didn't build the computer at all. And that just, irritates the shit out of me, which I think is actually since technically it's not a giveaway, I don't think it's against YouTube's terms of service to do like a false giveaway. But it's kind of a false giveaway because I'm pretty sure that he didn't give that to anybody. So we're going to skip that video because it's going to be a lot of the same critique that I had on the first video and repeating myself. Let's get to the ultimate. The one claim that he makes that makes sure that none of the stuff that he says can be hand waved away as, oh, I didn't know any better. So let's get to that one. The title of the third video is I built the best budget gaming PC for 2021. Runs Fortnite at 144 FPS plus. Oh man, that's a similar title. The last 3 videos he's made, by the way, are videos like this. So apparently this is his new money hog that he's just going to keep beating to death until someone stops him. So I say we stop him because I think this is absolutely ludicrous to let things like this just fly under the radar. But let's get into the tea, sis.
So for the very first thing here you go, boys, it's the GPU. It's an RX 554 gigs. You can have a Google yourself. It's a really powerful GPU. It's a really budget GPU, hence the price is $114. But boys, it will handle every single game on Ultra.
Oh yeah, he just said that. He just said the RX 550 can handle every single game on Ultra. Every single one. You want to run Microsoft Flight Simulator? Slap an RX 550 in that girl and start chugging that Ultra frame rate, man. It's gonna be great, I assure you. You want to play, I don't know, Cyberpunk 2077? Slap that RX 550 in there. You're set. You're set. Who needs RTX 3080s? I got an RX 550, man. That runs every single game on Ultra. Well, I guess technically, he does say it runs every game on Ultra. Did he say... Let's roll this back real quick. Let's roll this back.
It will handle every single game on Ultra.
Okay. Let's take him at the exact wording he used. He said it would handle every single game on Ultra. You can argue what handle means. To me, that means, at least 60 FPS, because that's kind of like the goal for most gaming experiences. But I guess you could say that handling any game on Ultra is just getting the game open. I would argue that's not correct. But anyway, then he goes on to dig his grave even further, saying that it can handle Fortnite on epic or high settings and getting 144 FPS.
That means Fortnite is an easy to run game and it will run in 144 FPS on at least tied to epic settings.
I looked this one up because I knew for a fact this is incorrect. And I looked up a video because I don't have an RX 550 just laying around, but there are a ton of benchmark channels and YouTube videos that show the exact performance you can get out of cards and CPUs and configurations, all that stuff. So with an RX 550 on Fortnite on epic settings, if I remember correctly, the average FPS was like 30 or maybe less than that. And he is showing this gameplay, zooms up to the FPS in the top right hand corner and says, this is the FPS you can expect with this card. Inferring, implying, or basically stating that this gameplay you're watching is from the RX 550, which there is no way that's true. This is just a lie. This is just him outright lying about something that is so easily disproven, and it blows my mind that not only is he willing to do this, that he has such a bankruptcy of moral character that he's just lying to his audience, which would bother me so deeply. I was talking to my girlfriend about this. I said, I don't think there's any way or any amount of money that someone could pay me to get me to just blatantly lie to an audience that relies on me. I don't think that a sponsor could come to me and say, hey, here's this product, tell everybody it's fantastic even though it's doo-doo. I don't think there's any way you could get me to do that because I'm not in this for the money. I mostly just like tech and doing shit with it and enjoying that stuff. So it doesn't even cross my mind to compromise my values for a little bit of money. But this man obviously has no problem doing that where he's not even getting any sort of kickback for selling these RX 550s. He's just claiming that his performance is outrageous because he wants to get clicks on this video, which is probably the worst marketing idea on how to make money by lying. But apparently it's working for him, so what the hell do I know? But yeah, this gets me actually legitimately angry. Not just peeved or annoyed or aggravated. It gets me extremely angry. And this is before I get into the just horrendous amount of problems that come with this kind of lying. Since he does have an audience, and I'm assuming they're pretty easily influenced children or a younger demographic, they're going to watch things like this. They're going to get this information that is horribly, horribly wrong and then apply that to the world that they interact with. There are a ton of people that I interact with on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist when I go to sell the computers that I build who say that they're horribly overpriced or that their performance is crap because this, that, or the other thing. And they'll point to videos similar to this being like, oh, well, this guy could build a computer for $200 that beats yours, blah, blah, blah. So they're armed with this knowledge that's incorrect, even though they think that it's correct because they take it from someone who they value as a role model. And then they sling that shit everywhere else. And it is a horrible problem for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, I have a personal connection to it because it affects my business and how I can sell computers and, the information that I kind of have to combat to get good computers in the hands of people who need them. But it also affects the general consumer of his videos who think that this is the computer they can build. They might get a job or start mowing lawns to save up money and build this thing. They might take his advice way too close to heart and build this computer one day with all this money they've saved up just to be crushed because it doesn't perform even remotely close to what he claimed. And now they've wasted all of this time and all of this money and all of this effort into something that's basically just e-waste. I was talking to my girlfriend that I wanted to do this video because of how fired up I got about it. And it would be cool to build this computer that he's recommending to show the huge disparity between, the computer he is selling and the computer that actually would be built. But it's such a waste of money. It is legitimately just burning $300 on stuff that just is useless to everybody. So that kind of goes to show that no one should build this. This video is a complete waste of time. It serves just to get clicks and to give this guy ad revenue, which is just such a horrible thing to do in my opinion that it kind of broke down my barriers of trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Because initially when I watched his first video, I was like, okay, maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's just a little bit misguided. Maybe he's being a little bit scummy here and there, but he just doesn't really know. But after this, where he's done 3 videos on the exact same topic, and it's clear that he doesn't care to learn or try to provide the best information. He simply is just outright lying. It just leaves me no other conclusion except for the fact that he just doesn't care. He wants the money, he wants the clicks, he doesn't care about his audience or his reputation or anything like that. And he's just going whole hog on that money bandwagon. So, God, it almost makes me sad. And I'm like, I don't want to get this emotional about this kind of stuff because it is kind of just, it's stupid YouTube shit. People lie on the internet all the time. I'm very aware of that. I'm not acting like, I'm surprised that someone's lying on YouTube. Obviously, tons of people do. But the fact that it's so close to a topic that I cover a lot of the time and I know a lot about and, I give a lot of advice on, I think that's why it kind of bothers me more than it should, because there's just certain expectations that I think a lot of people have in the computer building community that, you don't lie about things like this. So the rest of the video is just garbage, dude. It's honestly just garbage. And I think I've just lost the energy to react to it because it's just going to make me angry. And I don't want to get angrier. It's just a lot of false claims, bad information, horrible choices, bad value for items. It's just bad. I think I'm going to leave it at that because it's just making me sad at this point. But to give this video some sort of conclusion, I suppose, World of Archie, or World of Archie, however you say your name, either stop doing these videos, do them better, take them down, do something. Do something. Don't just leave this the way it is. And please, for the love of God, don't make more videos like this, because at one point it's going to catch up to you. And I can't speak. I'm losing my mind. Having your integrity chipped away in any sort of way is not good. Having people not be able to take your advice for what it is, or not believing you right off the bat, is a really, really big problem that isn't only going to affect you in YouTube and online, but also in your personal life, dude. Never, ever compromise your integrity, because that's one of the core things that people need to function in society. So there is your psychological breakdown of don't be a scummy YouTuber on the Two Wheels Use Tech channel. This probably isn't going to be a commonplace video on my channel, since I much prefer talking about tech and things of that nature than petty YouTube shit. But this one just got me riled up. I'm probably going to do the little Optiplex build thing that I talked about at the beginning of this video, the one that I put together for my uncle for a cheap gaming computer. It's just when I did a little bit of research in preparation for that video, I got into this rabbit hole, and here we are. So, but if you liked my little rant and you were entertained, maybe got a few chuckles out of it, hit that like button. If you think that I went too hard and this was probably an overstepping of my responsibilities, hit that dislike button. If you want to see more PC flipping adventures, advice, talks, etc., hit that subscribe button. I'll try my best to keep you around. Without further ado, guys, I can't speak. Have a good day, guys.